welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. It's the upbeat, it's happy, it's almost Friday, I think. I don't know. It depends when you could be listening, because after all, it is still September, but only just. My name's Richard. I will be your host for today or tomorrow, and we're doing days of the week again, but we're all over the place because we've had blue juice, and you know how blue juice affects us. Joining me today, or tonight, or tomorrow, and we'll stop doing the time jokes because we're not funny. He's quite noble. Some people would even argue he's a bit of an artist. He's actually a bit of a noble artist, but this is a man who's not into succeeding. He's not into just, slightly getting things wrong. This is a chap who's interested in nothing more than epic fails, which is why he's created Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails, the board game. I hate to see the search term traffic on Google for that little beauty, but anyway, it is the only Mr. Jamie Noble Frier. So hello there, Jamie.
Hi, well done. You retained a lot of the names and information that I thought you would stumble over, particularly the title of the game, as you say, that has the longest additional title in the world. So,
Bezel be kicking herself going, I thought Blether was really long.
Well, I kind of try and let people have a critical fail or an epic fail while they're trying to kind of reel off the title. So, it tends to work fairly frequently.
So, for people that are listening for the first time, I suppose we better say hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
The reason that we do this is because we've done 200 episodes and it's no longer about us, it's all about you. So because of that, we are striving to bring you the best content that a podcast could bring you. So that is why the second reason we're doing this is because it's why we ask people like Jamie on the show, because he's doing his Kickstarter. We're doing it. This is called it's like a quick start on the Kickstarter. So we're going to have a quick chat about his game and a quick chat about him, shelf, as they would say. Things are going well though.
Yeah, no, it feels good. We're kind of, I'm now just over a week in, and we're sort of kind of rolling on for about 350% funded, which is really cool. Unlocked some really cool stretch goals. Yesterday we unlocked something that I've been really keen to kind of get out into the kind of core game, which was the Neoprene mats. So they come as standard with both the core and the deluxe game now, which is really cool. So they replace the cardboard kind of player boards and the game board that you get in the game. So at the moment, because I've just announced a 5th player expansion as well, which would be a stretch goal, which would be another Neoprene mat as well. You are currently getting 5 Neoprene mats included in the package. So I think it's a really cool kind of like, for me, like Neoprene's always been like a luxurious addition, and to kind of like to have it as standard. I mean, kind of, my sofa's covered in it.
Just imagine you walking down the street with your mates
true.
like that. Dun, 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 get down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jamie, what are you wearing, mate? Do you like it? It's Neoprene. Oh man, he cool. That cat hot.
Yeah, and it's not like kind of like a cool like kind of like Wolverine outfit or anything. It's kind of sort of like it's just a really awful like shell suit made out of neoprene.
I could just imagine, but I bet you go up in flames a treat if somebody set fire to you.
It's I don't know. I think it might be flame retardant, so I think that'd be all right. Like that'd be no, I don't get it.
You'd be like a superhero.
I would be like a superhero.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what you have to do? You just have to. You have to do. We're going to stop the podcast. Do you know what you have to do? Like, see when you get your first shipment of the game, because it's going to get funded, and people are getting mats. You have to get like about 20 pieces of the neoprene mats and actually just wear them like a suit.
Are you thinking like Lady Gaga with the meat suit? Is that where we're going with this?
I think we have to do it. Yeah, I think
it
you even
might
have to have a.
Do you want me to do a photo and send it over to you, kind of when I've done it? I mean, can I wear something underneath, because there's going to be a lot revealed in between the neoprene. I think I've got a cardigan that people have probably seen on like every other interview that I've done. I'll make sure I'm wearing that, but then there's nothing on the bottom, then, is there? So I just have to have it carefully. I'll do like a neoprene Tarzan like loincloth, and then just make up the rest.
Just need a neoprene tube. You'll be fine.
like a boob tube out of neoprene. It works.
Well, kind of like that, yeah. Except just a tube. Keep it covered.
It's a good idea.
Welcome to After Dark with We're not wizards. Where tonight we'll be talking neoprene and rubber. Do you talc first or not before you put on your neoprene?
Neoprene.
What do you do
fails,
when you're walking down the sea? I know. Do you underwear or under not? It's up to you. Welcome to After Dark. Anyway, we're completely off the. This is going to happen. Do you know what we need? We need somebody to come in like a referee and just like blow a whistle and go stop, and then just say right, okay. This is the part in the show where you say, Richard, you have to ask them about their history with the hobby. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go.
So I can't talk about neoprene anymore.
No, you can't. We have to move on, because I'm running low on gas and you don't have a jacket, obviously, and some people will be scratching their head and some people will be nodding gently and sagely about what that means. One of the things we like to do is we like to find out a little bit about kind of history, designer history, because it's kind of one of these magical things about Kickstarter is that there's no right way to do Kickstarter. I've seen people that have like come on and said, "Oh look, I'm going to make a game about kittens that blow up," and folk have went, "Yay, have all the money!" And then you get other people that have gone, "This is a well-crafted, multi-dimensional game," and 3 days into the campaign, I was like, "Well, we've had to cancel it because we've had 2 backers." So there doesn't seem to be any type of magic to do with it. I mean, you've been involved in you've kind of been involved in the kind of the art side of things. You've had 2 sides to Kickstarter, haven't you? Because you've obviously done the game side of things, but you've also been involved in the kind of the general creation type of thing as well, just in terms of your artwork, yeah? So has it been like, see, I do research, frantically searches through your Kickstarter profile as you go.
Very clever. I mean, so how big is your research team?
It's my rabbit.
Yeah. We don't want to hear about that. I
put a carrot and a lettuce in front of him, and if he goes for the carrot, we do no research, and if he goes for the lettuce, we do the research while we're talking to you.
Okay, so, yeah, nice. Like it. Okay, so this is a lettuce situation, is it?
Nah, carrot.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I've kind of been involved in board games for I've been involved in games for about kind of coming up to 10 years now, and board games in kind of the latter half of that. I worked in video games, independent sort of studios as an artist, and one of the things that kind of led me into kind of doing, apart from kind of obviously enjoying board games, but kind of as a kind of a work thing, constantly kind of like in these independents, we'd always try and do our own little kind of projects and stuff where I'd be the artist and then there'd be a programmer who would sort of start doing the code for things, and then there'd be a 3D modeler and this and the other and stuff, and countless ones just kind of fall by the wayside because everyone ends up getting kind of permanent work or kind of like ends up with a big freelance client or this and the other and stuff, and kind of everyone kind of like just ends up, it just falls over and no one ends up doing it. And I kept sort of thinking kind of like ways around it and stuff, and I was never going to end up coding. So I kind of thought, you know what, like kind of I should really sort of put this into kind of like the game design into kind of something more analog, and started to kind of work on board games. And that's at that time I was playing a lot more board games with the guys that I was working with in the game studio and stuff, because obviously kind of they kind of sort of dovetail nicely, and people were kind of putting them on at lunch times, and then we're having kind of like evening sessions and stuff, and kind of like, at that time I was being introduced to a lot more games that I hadn't even heard of or realised, which is when I kind of discovered Mage Knight, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And yeah, so kind of once I kind of left my last video game job, I kind of went fully freelance, and the majority of my work has been with independent publishing companies, doing work for their Kickstarters, and also doing books for independent authors and stuff as well. But yeah, a lot of work for Kickstarters sort of prior to doing my own. So, I mean, I kind of said in the past that sort of having kind of trawled different kind of places to find clients, sort of in the board game industry, it was easy enough to kind of start working out where to kind of find out information about kind of how to develop games and design games and all those kind of different bits around manufacture and stuff as well. And I sort of discovered Jamie Stegmaier's blog and stuff, and all the groups on Facebook that are so helpful. So all of a sudden, I kind of sort of went from kind of just researching it to try and kind of like find clients that were looking for people like me, to actually kind of sort of just absorbing that information and thinking, you know what, this is pretty cool. I'd like to kind of start trying to get more involved in this. So yeah, and it kind of made sense that I could kind of just do all those composite parts myself, and I didn't know that I would be able to design a game and kind of see it through. And to be honest, like kind of in the first probably year of trying to design something, it was just an absolute mess. But I kind of feel like I needed to go through that to get to the other side, and I'm glad I didn't, and I would totally do it a different way next time. So yeah, but
it's a learning experience. So I think it's kind of like letting a young deer, kind of watching it walk. You don't want to interfere with the deer while you watch it walk. You want to make it like, because otherwise you don't get good telly. If somebody just came along and helped the deer up and said, right, do this like this, and you'd be, oh, fine, thanks very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And off it went. But I think, do you know what? Kickstarter's a pride thing. And I've noticed this more and more, is that there's very few things nowadays that have a unique sense of accomplishment with them in the creative, even in the creative field. I know a lot of people who are artists. I know a lot of people who are, musicians, and their job is you give them nothing and you give them an idea and they come back and they make something of it. But it's very, very easy to fall into kind of like a niche, not in terms of something that makes you money and that you end up doing and you end up becoming known for, and it's difficult to kind of be able to do it. So Kickstarter sometimes itself is a pride thing. Some people are like, well, I'm doing the entire creation my own. This is something I completely own. I'm creating out of nothing. It's something unique to me. And so I can see why a lot of people kind of do it completely by themselves.
It was definitely that for me. I mean, sort of, I know that sounds awful because pride's not the most sort of enviable trait, but I was desperate. I was desperate to do something on my. I mean, like, I was so excited about the prospect of kind of like having complete creative control over something. And sort of like making something that I really wanted to make and put a spin on, kind of like the sort of the genre that I love so much, which is the fantasy genre. So yeah, kind of like, and I'm totally aware that kind of like the fantasy genre is like completely saturated with very serious kind of like games and what have you and stuff. And I know that there's sort of more humorous games out there, but kind of with Hero Master, there's kind of like a bridge gap there where I feel that it's a game that kind of more seasoned gamers would enjoy. Because there's meat on the bones, but at the same time kind of offering something which isn't just too kind of sort of like you're a grim fighter with so much to prove, and blah, blah, blah. It's a kind of still a light-hearted kind of fun game to kind of just get out and have a kind of a thrash around with, and it's but it has some depth to the strategy and stuff. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with it, really. I mean, I still want to do the grim dark like kind of like fantasy game because I absolutely love them. Unashamedly.
Jamie, you can say the words "the grim dark" without actually going into a Batman type voice.
You can, I can't.
Right, just say the grim dark again.
The grim dark.
Yeah, okay, we'll move on then.
No problem.
Okay, but I mean, okay, with you being an artist, and there'll be, as I say, there are artists that listen, I hope. Do you find yourself kind of ending up kind of doing work under a particular style, or have you tried to expand or kept varying the work that you do?
I think I'm probably more diverse than a lot of artists I know. Kind of sort of like, and this isn't a knock on. It's actually, I think, kind of like those artists that have honed their style. They've got an incredible kind of art style. I was looking at like the Miko stuff the other day, and it's just absolutely mind blowing. And he's definitely nailed his style and stuff. Mine is more grimdark kind of style, and like usually, but you'll see in Hero Master it's completely the opposite. Now the reason for that was kind of like I was doing so much the grimdark stuff, and it was. it's great, and it's sort of like some of the games that I've done, Perdition's Mouth and stuff, are really really kind of horror, kind of fantasy and stuff. So
Yeah.
feature that kind of artwork in there, and kind of like I just wanted a little breakout every now and then, and started kind of like doing these kind of like upbeat kind of cartoons, I guess you could call them. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I kind of started to kind of create these characters with them and stuff, I kind of did a little trial run. On Kickstarter for a greetings card campaign with the art on it, which is really actually really popular. It did, it did a couple of £1,000, which is really cool for greetings cards. I was really pleased, and they still that then took me onto the convention circuit, because I started to kind of sell them at conventions and stuff and meet other people, and then it kind of blossomed from there. So I've just kind of been quite lucky with a few kind of little breaks and stuff and meeting people to be able to do that. But in terms of the artwork, yeah, it's a very different style to my normal stuff. But I like it. I like kind of like messing around with stuff. I do like kind of going back to my grim dark stuff. But like, it's
is it bad on your throat? I mean, obviously, if you're continuing to talk about
I've already done
stuff.
half a pint of water while I've been talking to you, so so I think it must be.
Oh dear!
It's when I'm walking around in my neoprene suit and keep talking about the grim dark in my voice. I've just messed it up. I forgot about it.
It's all right. No. Say it again. Just say grim dark, and we'll edit it back in.
Okay, my grim dark neoprene suit.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, that's that bit about the art in terms of kind of the diversity. Nailed it. Good.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails, an epic board game that's epic and its epicness, and it's epic with its epic Hero Master.
Well, the funny thing is, it only lasts an hour, so kind of like when I say epic, it's in the loosest possible term. So
it takes 2 hours to play, because it takes like 1 hour for you to actually pronounce like the game that you're going to be playing, and then it only takes an hour to play the game itself.
It's like in The Office when they had the club called New York, the club that never slept, and it closed at 3. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, it's like similar to that. It's the epic game of epic hours that lasts an hour. I wanted to kind of make it kind of punchy and stuff. So anyway, to give you the
what kind of punchy? Punch drunk.
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, it comes with neoprene gloves to wear as well. So that's pretty handy.
It's really not doing yourself any favours. You just
really messing with these stretch goals right now.
It's just I mean, that has to be like a stretch goal now. Is that, if you get up to certain funding, you don't get anything more in the game. But Jamie is going to do like a full Saturday Night Fever, walking down the street.
I'd be happy to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
If you get to a certain level.
I was thinking the other day kind of about kind of like sort of stretch goals and stuff that like I'm sure there must be people who kind of just like absolutely sell their soul on stretch goals and just like I'll dance if you get to this because you're sort of like you're so desperate for people to like what you're doing and kind of like sort of like put things in the game that people are going to enjoy and stuff like that, and then kind of like I've just done a sort of like a tier, announced a pledge tier where you can get your face in the game because I want to kind of like design some new characters around kind of some of the backers. But just like I wonder what sort of lengths people go to try and sort of like entertain and kind of keep people on board. I reckon I could probably go there to some of these depths, but yeah, potentially with the neoprene suit. It's Hero Master is a game about a group of heroes who are the last picked in every party. They just are. Their reputations precede them as the worst adventurers ever. They're the kind of people who just got really terrible career advice, and so anyway, they're kind of kicking their heels. They always end up in the same party together because obviously they get abandoned by everyone else they kind of work with, and as they're kind of sort of spending another kind of like lazy afternoon in a tavern, oblivious to the commotion around them and a dragon swooping around, that by the time they kind of realise that they probably should have joined one of the other parties who's going to go and fight the dragon, they the dust settles and they're kind of staring back at the same dopey faces that they always end up sort of staring back at. So off they go again on a doomed adventure, reluctantly because they can't stand each other at this point, in a hope that they can earn enough money to basically buy their way out of the party, just kind of sort of like buy their way into another party. So it's not a cooperative game, even though it's set in under the guise of being an adventuring party. You're very much against each other and just trying to get one over on each other to get the last kind of hit on the monster, so to speak, and steal the gold and the glory. So
how does it play? How does it play in a round? I mean, is it playing cards to take hits? Is it
yeah,
is it
that's
trick
right.
taking? I mean, yeah.
It is. Yes, it's very much like a hand management game with take that aspect. Now, I know with take that it's kind of a divisive kind of mechanic, and I totally understand that. I think the flip side is with this, and I think it was demonstrated really nicely in a playthrough that I kind of put up the other day on YouTube, where yes, you are kind of like. You're playing bungle cards on your party members. So essentially, we've got a hand of cards. It's a combination of the vices and the virtues of those characters. So you've got kind of like the barbarian who like is strong and can rage and all this sort of stuff, but at the same time, because he's so big and burly, he's got no spatial awareness. So you'd be kind of like laying your kind of rage attacks on the monsters, but you'd be laying your your bungle card, sorry, which would be kind of like I think it's called huh, as in huh, rather than like on the other players, because you're standing in their way while they're trying to fight the monster sort of thing, and it kind of blocks them. So it reduces their kind of like the power of their attack and what have you. But there's ways around it. There's ways to remove bungles. There's ways to kind of work around them. So you've got weapons and stuff you can add in, and you're kind of trying to use the bungles to kind of force people to use their assets, and those assets are kind of are their weapons, which have a finite you can use them and they get refreshed later on, so you can't keep using them. And you have your hero cards, which are kind of like special abilities. For example, the elf is really hoity-toity and expects to go first and everything, so he basically nabs the first player token, which is called the party leader token. So not only are you kind of trying to fight the monsters, you're trying to kind of get in each other's way, but one of the major parts of it is actually trying to maintain being the party leader. Because if you're the party leader, you not only get to choose the location you go to, you get to choose the monster you want to fight, that everyone has to fight, and you also get to resolve your attacks first as well, resolve your first attack first. So you're kind of squabbling and usurping each other constantly, kind of like pushing into each other's way, and kind of like the wizard thinks that because he's the most educated, he should be the one. The elf thinks that because he's like the race that was there first, they should be the one. Kind of and various different things. Like the human's just so stupid as the kind of the youngest race, like on that kind of in existence, that she just charges into combat and just kind of like has no idea, so kind of by right just claims the party leader because she's first in, getting stuck in. So yeah, it's kind of like it's very much a hand management game, because you've got a finite number of cards to kind of deal to get through a location which kind of has several monsters in it. And you're kind of trying to work out what attacks are strongest against those monsters, whether you can bluff someone into kind of bungling your maybe worst attacks or less useful attacks. You're trying to save your attack cards or your bungle cards that might steal the party leader token. So yeah, it's kind of all these different kind of strategies and stuff, and you start to kind of find these little combinations that work nicely together of the cards. And because you're kind of at the start of the game, you're drawing a different race and a different class and mixing two decks together, similar to sort of Smash Up. You're kind of finding new combinations all the time. So currently there's 4 classes and 4 races. We're working towards a stretch goal for a fifth of each at the moment, and I'd like to think there'll be more in the future as well. So it's definitely a kind of a replayable game, especially kind of like it lasts an hour. It's one of those games that I think kind of like I think people will be looking for, and I'd like to do a campaign for it, because it's one of those ones where you kind of build up a character and then you sort of like the game kind of comes to an end and you're like, oh no, like kind of like want to carry on playing, kind of like you just got all this cool stuff and kind of like so but the cool thing is when you get new cards, because when you gain treasure and stuff, they go straight into your hand or straight into your board and stuff. So in a short game, you're still getting to use the stuff you pick up straight away, which is quite a viable tactic when you kind of like, if you were to kind of defeat a monster, to almost get an attack back, because you're getting a new card, which is usually better than what you've got in your hand anyway. So it kind of it's got 2 stages to it. There's kind of like this kind of strategic kind of card laying stage where you're kind of almost laying out your plan for kind of the monster, so like your various attacks and your bungles down on people. And there's a second stage once everyone passes or runs out of cards, that you go through and resolve your attacks, starting with the party leader. So that's the kind of like the D20 rolling dice bit. So yeah, that's it. 2 main stages.
Has it been in development long? Because I remember us kind of first kind of I guess kind of being aware of each other. It was a Tuesday, and we were walking through the park, and there was Kevin Young, and Kevin said, "Have you met Jamie?" And I said, "I have not met Jamie." And he says, does he have a normal name? He says, no, he's one of these people that has lots of names. And I went, oh. But he is making a game. And there was that kind of conversation. And then and then you've kind of kept chipping away in the background. And was that play testing, or was that because we had other conversations, and I think we met in the middle of a roller coaster, which was exciting but ultimately quite scary. And then it was again as oh, hello Jamie, wah! and that was it. And then Martyn Poole kind of turned up, and we don't like Martyn. He's about. I've already said, you deserved your bins, Martyn. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, and then it was like hello, and I was like, yeah, I know him already with his multiple names and his fear of roller coasters, but like of walking in the park. And then we got chatting from there. But have you been kind of like building audiences and play testing and all those type of shenanigans, basically?
It's been. I mean, I say it's been in development for 3 years because I mean, and longer than that. When I was the initial idea of this kind of bungling party, of trying to get that last hit on the monster in a really non-fleshed out kind of way was kind of like one of my first kind of thoughts for a sort of a game design when I was working back at the sort of video game companies and stuff, and sort of wrote some notes on it and stuff, and they really didn't make much sense. And it was only kind of sort of like later on when I started to do a bit more of this kind of sort of like kind of artwork and stuff. I was like, do you know what, this is good. This could really fit with that idea. So I kind of dragged those notebooks out again and kind of went back to it and sort of fleshed out the idea a bit more. And then kind of like over the past 2 years, I suppose, I've sort of like kind of met different people who have helped me playtest the game, like kind of a few guys in the industry and stuff, and a few kind of like sort of people who are just keen to kind of like game and stuff, and like just love kind of the whole process. And I've just been very lucky with the people I've met, and it took probably a year of just like faffing about, not really knowing what I was doing, and then this final kind of like year has been like a solid kind of like it's really kind of come to a head, and kind of just really happy with kind of like certain things, like the party leader kind of mechanics, like just like was one of my favorite things that kind of we kind of eventually kind of like came to a head with, and so yeah, it has been a long time, and during that process kind of I think I just wanted to take my time over it, kind of like I wanted to make sure that I read everything about building an audience. Then I went ahead and built an audience, and I was lucky enough in the fact that kind of like because I've been doing art for a while anyway, I had a chunk of kind of a bit of a following from art anyway. So they went all board game people. So not all of it's translated and stuff, but kind of being in the industry has helped a bit. So yeah, I think kind of it was really important. I was actually going to launch in May. And then decided that I would push it back to September because I sort of felt like, you know what, like I just need a bit more time. And fortunately, that meant I fit in UKGE and sort of spent kind of managed to demo to a lot of people there. And I think kind of like just to be seen, in that environment is really helpful, because I think sort of people like realise that you're not just a chancer, and you're actually kind of like putting something together. And I had a really lovely prototype, which literally I got on the day that it opened, from Rob Butler from Die Sports, and I think that sort of like was such a pleasure to show off, and kind of and I think it attracted a lot of people and attention. So yeah, no, it was really really sort of good, and yeah, I'm glad I spent the time to kind of like, rather than try to rush it out the door. As I say, next time I could probably cut a lot of time out of the sort of mistakes that I made, and maybe not quite so much just sort of like trial and error in game design. But as you say, it was sort of like a baby deer, probably on ice in a neoprene jacket. So
that was a bit grim and dark.
It was. Yeah, true. It's infectious, isn't it?
I don't know what you're saying. Excuse me. I don't know what you're saying. How do people get involved? What's the kind of the entry price on the door? Because do you know what the funny thing is? I just remember back to a conversation when I messaged you on Facebook, because I was checking through stuff, because I've got a big list of people I want to speak to, and some people I don't get to speak to, and other people I kind of went, oh, actually I don't want to speak to them at all. That's not that's not true. Anybody listening, I always want to speak to people. But and then I kind of remember messaging you going, am I too late, Jamie? Am I too late? And you went, no, we've put it back. Oh, I thought it was going to be me. I was like, no, if you'll excuse me, the dodgems have opened. Hey, ding ding, and off you went again. And then so that was good. But as I say, as we said at the top, kind of things seem to be kind of progressing kind of nicely. But what is the cost of entry if you want to get involved in this fine game with the longest name ever?
Yeah, so you get a lot of words for your money here, which is great. It's 29. It's 29. It's 29. You get a lot of title for your money. It's £29 for the core game, and we're also I say we. It's only me. I'm making it out like I'm a massive company. The deluxe version is £49, and that includes a whole bunch of extra stuff like fancy metal coins and class-themed dice and a map of Snoozehaven, which is the land in which the kind of game is set, on a big tablecloth that you can put down before you play, and then put your new fancy neoprene mats on top. And even a adult colouring book, which I have to explain to a couple of people isn't adult themed. It's just the fact that if you're an adult, you might enjoy it as well.
I've always thought that an adult colouring book.
Yeah, it doesn't have adult themes.
See, do you know what to me an adult theme is? An adult theme is you would be opening it up, and the first thing it would say is, "This is how you apply for a mortgage."
Yeah.
This is how you change your address on your council tax, or potentially change your banding. Do you know what I mean? This is the address you need to write. You need to send your tax, your car details to the DVLA to get your address changed. Do you know what I mean? Thinking of getting boiler cover? This is the page for you. Those are adult things. The type of thing that they consider kind of like adult things are actually for 14-year-olds.
It's a good idea, actually. Yeah, just like kind of various like money saving expert like kind of like
just
like
things that you colour in.
Yeah, you can colour in. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the boiler page. Do you know what I mean? This is how you change a plug.
That's really.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, do you know what I know something,
That's a
Jerry?
fantastic idea.
I'm 43 years old. Do you know the first time I actually changed round a light fitting that was hanging down like a pendant? I was like 41. Because I thought, if I went near electricity, I'm gonna die. That's the honest truth. It's like, if I go near this, I was afraid of changing batteries. I'm being perfectly honest. Just in case I couldn't resist the temptation to stick 5 in my mouth and then short circuit myself.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so 29 gets you in the door.
That's right. Yeah.
49 gets you the extra deluxe
fancy
version.
Package. That's right. Yeah.
With the fantasy suite.
The fantasy suite. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. It's yeah. So no, I've tried to kind of like again. I've done a few Kickstarters before, which have been kind of great and stuff, and but nothing like this on this scale. So I wanted to make sure that I kind of kept the entry point as low as I could. So I've kind of really tried to make sure that I had some really good conversations with people on the lead up. This is why kind of like spending some time working things out rather than sort of diving straight in was a great idea, because getting feedback from people, like I kept showing artwork off and stuff, and people were like, those boards look really big, like kind of like for the game stuff. Have you worked out how much it's going to cost you and stuff? And then I'm like, of course, yeah, no, it's fine, don't worry about it and stuff. And I'm like, I should probably get that checked out. And
what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was
amazing.
It was, yeah, I was just like super excited about kind of putting everything in the game and its dog. And funny enough, someone asked me if I'd put a kind of a character of my dog in there, which I probably will do. But yeah, and then slowly but surely realised that I just needed, like, games have, especially epic games that last an hour, have a price cap. You can't have an hour long game which is going to cost you 80 quid. It's sort of it just wouldn't work. So I think kind of with this, I needed to whittle it down, and now the cool thing is, because we're now like hitting stretch goals and stuff, it means I can include the neoprene, and I can include kind of like other cool bits and pieces that I wanted to, fifth player if we get there, and stuff. So yeah, it's I wanted people to be able to kind of I wanted to build up that trust with people who don't necessarily know me, even though they might have kind of heard about some of the other games I've worked on and stuff, to be able to kind of like put their trust in it, kind of like not too much of an expensive risk for them. So I think with any kind of like first time creator, I would prefer to kind of invest in someone that the first timer who was putting out something a bit smaller than something absolutely massive. So that was my thinking anyway, and I think kind of like I'm really pleased that I kind of didn't go this. I was talking to someone the other day about kind of my Grail design game that has everything kind of in it and all singing, all dancing, grimdark fantasy game, and it wasn't the right game to start off with. So this is this is what I felt was right, and I'm pleased. And to be honest, because it was also the first kind of good idea I felt like I had in game design, it felt really good to then kind of see this one through.
And it's doing well.
It feels like it's doing pretty well.
$9,000 target, almost 30,000, 29,686 reached.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's
trickled up today. It's been great. I mean, what I'm really pleased with is I know that obviously you hear these horrific rumours about the mid-campaign slump, and this is no villagers, which is just those guys. I talked about them yesterday as well. What an incredible experience, and what an incredible kind of like success story that they've had. But yeah, wow. I mean, I'm so incredibly impressed with the amount of support that I've had for the game, and it's just so nice to kind of like you've been sat on something for so long, and then you can to show it to everyone and kind of be excited about it, and then be excited sort of back. It's just it's really really cool to finally get it out there and not have to kind of like just be worried about it, I suppose, and kind of like just be it's nice to kind of to enjoy this moment and kind of watch it tick up. But yes, as I say, the mid campaign has been better than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be an absolute deadlock, but it's kind of continued to kind of trickle in every day, and that's really cool. And hopefully, kind of when that 48-hour reminder goes out, then a few more people will kind of jump on board too, and hopefully we'll get a bit closer to those stretch goals. So, but yeah, more to come.
Awesome. If people want to keep an eye on that more to come, where can we find you on the grimdark internet nets?
You can probably, I don't know what you can find on the grimdark internet, but you can find me on obviously on Kickstarter. Whoa, that's my microphone. Sorry. You can find me on just falling off the table. You can find me on Kickstarter.
That's staying in, Jamie. That's not getting cut.
Yeah, I can see the spike on the audio chart there. Where it's completely fallen off the table.
Awesome.
You can find me on Kickstarter if you look for Hero Master and Epic Game of Epic Fails, if you can muster the courage to type that whole thing in. You can also, if you go to Facebook and you search for Hero Master Game, then you'll find the Facebook group there. You're welcome to come and join that, because I post loads of stuff in that and show off artwork and bits and pieces and tell you what's coming up. And but there's also, if you go to my website, thenobleartist.com, you can join the mailing list there, and you'll find out kind of bits and pieces as I release them as well through that too. So lots of ways to find me. And
we'll make sure that we put all those links in the show notes so that we have notes to show. If you want to find out what we are up to, go to our show notes, because it's all there. But you can find us on Twitter at We're Not Wizards. You can find us on Instagram at We're Not Wizards. Facebook's We're Not Wizards. YouTube is We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast. Tumblr's We're Not Wizards. You can find us on all the podcast catchers like Stitcher and Spreaker and Acast and Player FM and all these other wonderful, fantastic places. Podbean itself. You can go to our website, which is we'renotwizards.com. You can read stuff that people that are better at English than I have got write for us, which is we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. As we say, if you've like what you've listened to tonight, stay tuned. Drop us a subscription on Apple Podcasts. If you like us even more and you don't want to be grimdark about it, consider giving us a rating or review. But as we say, don't give us 10 stars, because it makes us big-headed. But don't give us 1, because it'd make us cry. And je suis le ugly crier. Give us something in the middle, like a 5, because it's average, and we're just a little bit average. But the person who's not been average tonight, it's the rather wonderful, the rather fantastic, the noble artiste.
Thank you very much for having me.
Noble Frier. You're very, very welcome, sir. This has been... you have to come back on, I think.
It was good fun. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Thanks, man. It was a lot of fun. I think kind of like next time we'll just, as soon as like you actually call me, they will hit the record button because more weird stuff ensued before the call started. So
let's no, they can wait for the next time. There's only two more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Jamie?
No, certainly not.
No.
I mean, so I'm not, and I only know a little bit about you, and one of the things I do know is that you're not. So yeah, no, neither of us are.
Cool, that's good. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from Jamie. Say goodbye, Jamie.
Goodbye, Jamie.
And it's a goodbye from me. Don't fight every time. Ruined it at the end.
I did.
Deleting the entire podcast. Yes, you did. Anyway, remember, and it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe. Roll6s.com. And if you fancy being a master of your own disaster, or even if you fancy being a success on a quest, maybe stay away from the epic fails or the epic board game of epic fails that is the Hero Master Epic Game of Epic Fails, the board game, which is done by Jamie Noble Frier, who loves walks in the park, is scared of roller coasters, but does love a dodge 'em. But until the next time, grimdark.